human. They see them as human as possible to have children with them, to get free labor, and to have some exalted state of accomplishment. But you look into the groups that are the red pillars, the incels, the MAGAs, the men married to trad wives. Pastors openly admit on YouTube they don't see women as human, not fully human. They see them as a place kids come out of. They see them as, and forgive my use of the term, and I quote from a pastor, women are holes. This is how the conservatives see women. They don't see them as fully functional. When you ask a man who's conservative, the MAGA, the fundamentalists, they'll never admit to it. But when they're talking man to man and nobody's around, they will talk about women in ways they would talk about somebody who's subhuman. And there are a lot of Christian denominations that view women as equal and have the right to make choices about their body. If you can't take someone's organs during life and after death without consent from the dead person or from their family, you should not have the right to keep someone alive without their consent by being pregnant. A person has complete autonomy over their life unless they're sent to a prison. You don't have to be alive to have autonomy. And if someone doesn't want something in their body, whether it's a tumor, tissue, blood clot, fetus, canker, or just something as simple as having the wrong sized nose or the wrong kind of ears, everyone has a right to change their body to how they want it to look. Every woman has a right to say, I don't want to be pregnant. I don't want to have a baby. And just because a woman consented to sex doesn't mean they consented to being a mother. And just because someone's pregnant doesn't mean they consented to have a baby. Because 1 out of 4 people, 1 out of 4 women, about 1 out of every 6 men who are either pregnant or is a survivor of violence, sexual, physical, emotional, verbal, whatever. And men usually can't get pregnant, but for women, there's a good percentage of pregnant women. They didn't consent to being pregnant. And even if they had, you can change your mind. Even if you wanted a baby during the first trimester or before it was conceived, and you change your mind, as long as you're not violating state laws, you can change your mind. You can give a kid up for adoption, you can have an abortion, or you can take pills or have something in your body that keeps you from conceiving a child. Everyone has the right to decide what they do with their own body. And with that, women can choose. Women should not be telling other women what to do, because mothers and fathers are going to be the primary caregivers. They're going to be the ones whose bodies are going to be forever changed due to their choices for or against pregnancy. I've never been pregnant myself, but I've had siblings and parents who've had up to 5 children apiece. I've 8 nieces and nephews myself. And I've just never wanted children. And there's nothing wrong with that. I'd say half in a lot of countries around the world, half the couples in most countries aren't having kids. Either because they want to be child-free, fertility issues, or it's just not the right time yet. Everyone has a right to decide how their body changes, how their life is impacted, and whether or not it's right for their life or their finances. Living in a world where you don't have choice over how you bring people into the world isn't a democracy. It's like living in a authoritarian or religious extremist country. We might as well be living in countries like Saudi Arabia or Iran, Afghanistan, where women don't have reproductive equality. And it's never about the child. It's always about controlling a woman, her choices, her opportunities, her access to quality health care for or against abortion. Abortion is health care. Anyone who says otherwise needs to educate themselves. You don't have to like the health care. You don't have to like that it exists. You can be so against abortion you would never marry someone who's had an abortion or never want to go into an abortion clinic. That's your right to feel however you want to. What's wrong is to vote and to take away people's choice for that health care, whether you vote for someone who removes that right or personally vote on amendments or voting something into law that takes away someone's right. A lot of people out there, especially women below poverty line, they can't afford to just travel to a state with open abortion options. Some women can barely get across town, let alone fly 500 miles. And if you live in a red state, either in the Midwest, near the Gulf, or on the East Coast, and you're definitely in a really red state, they're known for the highest poverty. People can't afford to take 2 weeks off work, fly somewhere, spend a week in a hotel room, have an expensive procedure. And a lot of women do it alone. But every woman has the right to decide what they want to do. Everyone should be informed concerning the history of abortion and how their belief system used to believe and how those beliefs have changed leading up to whatever year we're in. I grew up Southern Baptist, and before Roe versus Wade, the Southern Baptist Convention supported abortion. That was a surprise. After abortion was legalized in the 70s, they switched teams and went pro-life instead because they felt that they could get more support and more financial gain switching teams by crying against what they had supported. We call it the moral panic. And a group that does nothing or does very little to nothing to give existing children and single mothers a subpar, barely able to survive lifestyle and academic access cannot say that they support the family and hate abortion. If you don't give people who are affected by abortion quality life and quality access to health care and education, saying you want to protect the child, in my opinion, is a lie. You look at Southern Baptists, and I've been to 7 churches and different sub-denominations within Baptist and Southern Baptist. They offer very little to nothing to better women. They believe in patriarchal hierarchies. They don't see women and children as equal with men. They see women or girls, depending on the age, as something to be endured, to never hear their voice. Women are not given the opportunity to be in senior leaderships or any leaderships that involve men above the age of 15. It's frowned upon. And abortion was never addressed in 30 years and in 7 churches of attendance. My family believes abortion is murder and is a sin. I don't believe in sin. I don't believe that making the best choice for your life and your future is murder. Coming into someone's house with a gun and shooting at a mother, killing her, and the unborn child would be classified as legal murder, because you're killing someone without the legal and moral consent of the parents and the government. Having an abortion is a human right. You can deny it, you can hide it, you can hate it. But the UN has said many times, abortion is a human right and is health care. Same as the emergency room, having a bullet taken out of your side, having an emergency surgery to remove your appendix, or to stop a hemorrhage in your body. It's healthcare. When you live in areas that push and teach Christian abstinence-only sex education, kids are ripe for pregnancy, STIs, little to no understanding of legal and moral consent, and recognizing that they control their own life. Because the medical field's motto, I think it's the Hippocratic Oath from the Greek doctor, do no harm. And every medical professional, if they do legal, moral work, does what they do for the good of the patient to get them to work towards their goals of treatment, recovery, and gaining the best quality of life possible. I'm a licensed bodywork therapist myself. I would never do or not do something that would not get my patient to receive or attain the best quality life or something that could hurt them. I'd never do it. If I know that my patient wants to no longer be pregnant, that it's not something they're consenting to, something they don't see for themselves as their future. Any doctor who obeys the Hippocratic Oath would perform the abortion back when it was legal. Any doctor who refuses to do something their patient legally wants, and it's for their good, should not be their doctor. They probably shouldn't be practicing either. But doctors don't have to perform something if they're not comfortable doing it or for any legitimate reason. But if the patient legitimately doesn't want to be pregnant or have a kid, you have no right forcing that person to be pregnant. In my opinion, that is wicked. Forcing someone to remain pregnant when they don't want to is abuse. It's dehumanization of a person, regardless of age. If someone's 12 years old and is pregnant, which is a tragedy, they should have as many rights as someone who's 32. If you don't want to be pregnant, you should not be made to remain pregnant. If you want to have a surgery, which removes any chance of pregnancy, like getting your tubes tied, doctors within reason, should perform it. I mean, there's many hoops you have to jump through, which is very sexist, because if a man walks in for a specific reproductive surgery, unless he's bonkers, he's going to get approved probably immediately. Women on average spend years. I've heard of women that go up to 9 doctors before a doctor sees them as human beings and gives them what they need. Women have to fight for their own good health care because very few people, especially men, are going to do it for them. You have to advocate for yourself. And the churches I went to, 30 years, 7 churches of attendance, never talked about abortion. They never talked about women as something that was positive. They never addressed how women are treated in this country. How women are held back. And I don't like looking at it like this, but in my opinion, if you're born a woman in this country, you just reduced your quality of life and your access to health care considerably just being born female. Back when I was in school, taking classes to become a licensed bodywork therapist, I learned that if a man and woman go into an ER at the same time for the same issue of having chest pains, shortness of breath, dizziness, vomiting, the man will be seen 45 minutes before the woman. He will be diagnosed, or at the very least, the doctor and male patient would talk about cardiovascular disease, heart attacks, strokes, weight, and cholesterol. The woman would wait 45 minutes longer, probably be gaslit by the male or female doctor, nurse, but whatever, and whoever they're saying. The idea of their symptoms, even hinting at a cardiovascular, pulmonary, heart attack, stroke outcome would never be considered, spoken about, addressed, or even hinted at. Okay? So they would wait 45 minutes longer. They would be told they're crazy, imagining it. Oh, just take some pills and stop being anxious. On average, women wait 5 years minimum longer than men to be diagnosed. And if it's a male disease or considered to be more prevalent in men, the symptoms will be not addressed. Most women who have the same issue as the man does would be sent home with anti-anxiety pills and probably die within the next 3 years from high cholesterol, high blood pressure, without it being addressed.